All right, guys, me again, back with a little update about Venezuela. I think it's the fourth. I don't know. But let's get right into it. I want to make sure that you all understand the reality behind the headlines. Now, so we have what's actually in the news, and then we have what actually needs to happen, if that makes sense. So a lot of people online, YouTube University, Google University are saying oil is about to go crazy, oil is about to go up, but I don't think they're understanding that the oil that is there has been there all this time, and even Venezuela wasn't able to get it out, right? So based off the headlines, it kind of looks like politics, oil, money. When really it's more so they have to get licensing, they have to get infrastructure, control capital. They have to make sure that there's actual dilutants to make sure that they can actually pull the oil and process it once they get it out of the ground. Like there's so many things that need to happen. So I want to make sure y'all are truly understanding that it's not just, oh, he went over there and got the president of Venezuela and now we're in control of the oil. Like there's a lot that has to take place before this will even remotely become profitable for anyone. Not the problem is getting the oil out of the ground, right? Is what you're seeing online predominantly. But that's really not the issue. Of course, we have to make sure that we have the proper systems and we have the proper equipment and everything is working and running because it's been down for so long and they haven't been using it and it's just kind of been abandoned, right? So that is an issue. However, if we have the all of the equipment we need and everything does what it needs to do, but there's no dilutant for the actual oil to get through the pipes, then that's really going to be an issue, right? So I want you to think about molasses when it comes to thinking about the oil that Venezuela has. It's so thick, it has to have the dilutant to even make it move, okay? Venezuela's oil is extra heavy crude. It is too thick to move through pipelines or be loaded onto ships without being mixed with lighter hydrocarbons called dilutants. Okay, there are a couple of the examples. Sanctions didn't just block oil sales, they blocked the ingredients needed to move the oil. Even if politics stabilize and sanctions ease, oil still can't move at scale without diluent. This alone can delay meaningful production increases by months to years. Chemistry is going to be politics in this instance. So I want to make sure everybody understands this is something that we're going to have to be watching for, paying attention to over the next few weeks, months, years, as they get this thing figured out as far as what they're going to do and how everything is going to be going moving forward with getting the oil out of the ground in Venezuela. The company that was pulling the oil out of the ground is PDVSA. Okay, PDVSA. A lot of people say that it was mismanaged. If you read articles and you go, and when I say read articles, I'm talking about go back and look and see articles from a few years ago, from a long time ago, you'll see it was just a lot going on. This is a human capital collapse, not just money. Not just a money problem. You can't rebuild expertise overnight, right? There are no skilled engineers over there. There's no maintenance crews, right? They left the country years ago. Institutional knowledge has disappeared. Some facilities operate with missing documentation and non-functional sensors. So we have to make sure that we understand, yes, we could get all the equipment, America could ship it all over there, but who's going to run it? Where are these people coming from? Who are they? Where are they? Where did they go? Why did they leave? Okay. And then if we decide to use the equipment that's there, it's been sitting there for so long. Okay. Some of them can't even restart or fully restart without re-engineering. And the next thing you want to make sure that you understand is the US doesn't just want, or when I say the US, I'm talking about Trump. He doesn't just want oil back online. He wants to control the recovery. He wants to make sure that we're the ones making the decisions, right? The U.S. does not want a fast, independent, politically hostile Venezuela flooding global markets. The goal is gradual output through U.S. approved companies under strict licensing and monitoring. Okay? Strict licensing and monitoring, keeping oil prices manageable, pressure on OPEC, box out rivals like China and Russia. This is geopolitical chess, not charity. Energy is leverage. Us controlling this and making these decisions is absolutely going to be leverage. So who loses in this situation? China's the actual loser here. For years, China's oil for loans deals tied Venezuelans' output to its influence. US-led recovery disrupts these repayment flows and redirects oil away from China, weakening the energy security. This isn't just about Venezuela, it's about the US versus China energy dominance and who controls marginal barrels globally. I see a lot of people saying and doing YouTubes and TikToks, if oil comes back, companies will see huge profits. Uh, this is gonna take a while. Okay. All near-term oil revenue is not free-flowing profit. It is a licensed, restricted, revenue capped, and closely audited process. So people have licenses connected to this oil. People are, depending on what's happening, we have lots of audits that need to happen. Like there's a lot of things that need to take place. Um, revenue destinations, they have to pay down debt. Remember on the last presentation, we talked about them owing a couple of American companies billions of dollars. All of these things need to be paid back before you're going to see this company or before you're going to see some of these companies make real profit. Okay. Who's in favor? Large compliant firms and long duration investors, not small speculative plays. So, again, if you are interested or do decide to put some money in any of these companies connected to what's getting ready to potentially happen in the next 5 to 10 years, then you have time to do your research, look through some of these things to figure out what it is you want to invest in, as well as why. Okay. As well as why. All right. The real signals are the licensing language. So, I don't want you to necessarily focus on the sanctions as much as you focus on the actual licensings. Okay? Now, you're not going to see a news article, a headline, or any of those things when you see a company get a license to be able to start to process oil or start to rebuild the actual site that they have over in Venezuela. You're not going to see this information in broad daylight, right? So we're going to make sure we're paying attention to a couple of different websites to really get the information we need to make sure, right? We need permission from multiple parties, right? We have specific licensing, the important ones, issued to these specific companies, okay? Chevron, Halliburton, and Schlumberger. I don't know if I said that right, but y'all just pray for me. Okay. They allow very specific actions and are often temporary and come with revenue caps. Watching which companies get licenses matters more than the sanctions being lifted. If Chevron gets that licensing first, that would be great. If Halliburton gets it first, that would be great. You'll know where or who or what company is going to be making some sort of revenue first, right? Is going to have their foot in the door first, just based off that licensing. Again, sanctions are great. We want to make sure we know when they're lifted, but what about the licensing? Just because the sanctions are lifted does not mean that these companies have the licensing that they need to be able to do what they need to do. Uncommon signals that move markets first. Focus on inputs and enablers, not just outputs. So, dilutant flows. Watch for licensing and shipping data for inbound, naphtha, and condensate, not just outbound crude. This is the lead indicator. Most people only watch for oil exports. If you're only waiting for that, you're already too late. Okay? When are they getting that diluent? When are they purchasing that to see when it gets there? And I'll show you in another video how to kind of get to that so we can see it. Oil field service licenses. Licenses for services for service companies like Halliburton and Schlumberger are a quiet green light that real rebuilding is starting months before production rises. Okay, remember, they can't do anything without licensing. Then we have the paper trail. Bankers require P&I insurance. Watch for news of major P&I clubs for the international group re-engaging. Without acceptable insurance, oil cannot move legally. And then pay attention to wording changes, right? The Treasury wording changes, the shift in OFAC license language from wind down to operate and manage is a more powerful signal than any press release. The real signal lives in the fine print. Okay, so I kind of put it in order so you can kind of see, as well as to make sure that you all aren't scurrying to try and purchase a whole bunch of these companies. Okay, we need permission first. We have to make sure that we are compliant. Banks and insurers agree to participate. We need dilutants, spare parts. We need power. We need expertise. We need engineers, service crews. We need all of those people to return wherever they may have gone, right? Or we need to get them trained. We need infrastructure. That's going to be the wells, the pipelines, refineries. We need all of those things restored. Okay. We need months to years to get these things back the way they need to be. Make sure the experts now know how to use all of the different wells that are here, know how to do the entire process. Then we have cash flow. That's going to be closer to the end. Now, because there's already a lot of money owed, that's going to be restricted and directed to debt and maintenance first before anything else. All right. And then we have equity re-rating, the final step only after the system proves itself to be reliable. So I want to make sure everybody understands there's a lot that has to take place before we, as an investor, are actually going to see any actual real move on the charts when it comes to oil or any actual real move with these companies. Now, of course, we want the sanctions to be lifted. That is the number one thing the that's the number one thing that we're expecting, right? Because that's what the news is saying we need to be paying attention to. But even if the sanctions are lifted, we still have licensing we have to go through, banks, insurers. We got to get diluents. We have to get engineers. We have to make sure the wells and pipelines are restored and everything is working. Like there's a lot that has to take place. So I want to make sure that you all understand that. Again, I'm not trying to turn y'all into oil experts, but I want to make sure I give you a pretty decent timeline on when you could expect some return. So this is literally going to be one of those plays that could take years. Okay. As we said in the beginning, chemistry beats politics. Heavy oil without a diluent is just expensive dirt. Sanctions are a dimmer, not a switch. The signal is in the license language, not the headlines. Institutions read license language. Retail traders read headlines. We're not retail traders, so we're going to make sure we're paying attention to those licensings. Okay. Follow the enablers, not the outcome. Watch diluent services and insurance before you watch production numbers. Okay. Recovery is controlled, not explosive. The goal is geopolitical leverage, not a flooded market. Energy rewards patience, not hype. And here is a list of some of the different sites that you can go to see some of the one for the sanctions, so you can see some of the licensing, what exactly it is you're looking for. You're going to see the insurance that some of these companies get. You're going to be able to see majority of that information on these sites here. Hopefully this is helpful. If you have any questions, absolutely make sure that you reach out. All right, guys. Peace, love, chicken grease, and other tacos you can eat. I will see you on the next session.